World War I began in July 1914, marking a pivotal moment in global history. The conflict primarily involved two major alliances, the Central Powers and the Allied Powers. This global war significantly reshaped international politics and power dynamics. It also led to fundamental transformations in military strategies and technological advancements. The pre-war European political landscape was marked by intricate alliances. These alliances created a complex web of international relationships. Escalating tensions characterized the period leading up to the conflict. This environment ultimately set the stage for a continent-wide war. Germany's Schlieffen Plan was a strategic blueprint for a swift victory in a potential European conflict. The core objective was to achieve a rapid defeat of France, avoiding a prolonged two-front war. This plan necessitated invading neutral Belgium to bypass French border defenses. The invasion of Belgium was a critical strategic maneuver intended to outflank French forces. However, this action had significant and far-reaching repercussions for the war's progression. Britain had a long-standing treaty obligation to protect Belgium's neutrality. This treaty was a cornerstone of British foreign policy. The obligation meant Britain was bound to defend Belgium's borders. Germany's invasion of Belgium directly violated this neutrality. This act posed a direct challenge to Britain's diplomatic commitments. Consequently, the invasion triggered Britain's entry into the conflict. On the 4th of August 1914, German forces initiated a military advance into Belgium. This action constituted a violation of Belgian neutrality, guaranteed by international treaties. In response, Great Britain issued an ultimatum to Germany. The ultimatum demanded the immediate withdrawal of German troops from Belgian territory. Germany's failure to comply led directly to Britain's declaration of war, marking a key moment in WWI. Germany's military strategy involved an invasion of France through neutral Belgium. Britain had a treaty obligation to protect Belgium's neutrality. Germany's failure to withdraw forces from Belgium violated this neutrality. This act directly triggered Britain's declaration of war against Germany. Britain formally entered the conflict, aligning with the Allied powers. At the onset of World War I, Britain's Royal Navy stood as the world's largest and most powerful fleet. This naval dominance provided a substantial strategic advantage for the British Empire. The Royal Navy's strength was crucial for protecting trade routes and projecting power globally. Its formidable presence significantly influenced the course and outcomes of the war. Control of the seas is a critical strategic imperative during wartime. It ensures the unimpeded movement of essential wartime logistics. This includes the efficient transportation of troops to combat zones. It also facilitates the delivery of vital supplies and equipment. Simultaneously, naval dominance serves to disrupt enemy operations. By controlling sea lanes, adversaries are prevented from moving their own forces and resources. The British naval blockade of Germany was a critical strategic maneuver during wartime. Its primary objective was to intercept and prevent vital imports from reaching Germany. This strategy aimed to disrupt Germany's supply lines for essential goods and resources. By cutting off these imports, the blockade sought to cripple the German war economy. The blockade exerted significant economic pressure, impacting industrial production and civilian life. It represented a key component of the Allied strategy to weaken the enemy's capacity for war. Naval blockades are strategic operations designed to isolate an enemy by sea. These operations involve patrolling vast stretches of ocean to control maritime traffic. The primary objective is to intercept merchant vessels attempting to enter or exit blockaded areas. Blockading forces meticulously inspect ships for contraband goods that could aid the enemy. Strict rules are enforced regarding what goods are considered contraband and subject to seizure. Effective blockades can severely disrupt an adversary's supply lines and economic stability. Naval blockades were strategically implemented to isolate nations and disrupt supply lines during wartime. The effectiveness of the blockade led to severe shortages of essential resources within Germany. These shortages included critical food supplies and vital raw materials for industry. The resulting scarcity significantly impacted civilian morale and industrial output across the nation. Naval blockades were a key strategy in early 20th century conflicts, aiming to cripple enemy supply lines. Germany sought to counter these blockades through aggressive naval tactics. A primary German tactic was unrestricted submarine warfare, targeting all ships in war zones. This strategy, while effective in disrupting shipping, led to significant escalation of hostilities. The attacks on neutral vessels often provoked other nations, drawing them into the ongoing conflict. Naval battles historically showcase the formidable power of warships and strategic importance of sea control. The Battle of Jutland, a prime example, involved massive fleets of dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts were revolutionary battleships, defining naval power in the early 20th century. Their immense firepower and armor significantly influenced naval engagement tactics. Such engagements demonstrated the critical role of naval strategy in global conflicts. British naval dominance was crucial during wartime, securing vital sea lanes. This protection ensured the continuous flow of Allied shipping across oceans. Resources from the global empire were transported to European fronts. The Navy's control prevented disruptions, sustaining the war effort effectively. Naval blockades are strategic military operations designed to isolate an enemy by sea. These blockades extend to naval bases and ports, restricting maritime access. The primary objective is to prevent enemy warships from accessing international waters. This tactic effectively limits naval operations and controls sea lanes. Naval blockades are strategic military operations designed to isolate an enemy by sea. These blockades restrict the flow of essential supplies, including food, fuel, and raw materials. The long-term impact of such a blockade can severely cripple a nation's industrial and military capacity. Historically, sustained blockades have led to widespread shortages and economic instability. Such pressures contributed significantly to the eventual collapse of the German war effort. The British Empire encompassed vast territories across the globe. This extensive reach provided significant strategic advantages during wartime. It served as a massive reservoir of manpower for military efforts. The empire also supplied abundant natural resources crucial for the war economy. These combined contributions were vital for sustaining the overall war effort. The mobilization of troops demonstrated the extensive reach of the empire. Forces were drawn from diverse regions across the globe. Canada contributed personnel to the imperial effort. Australia, New Zealand, and India also mobilized their troops. Various African colonies supplied additional military resources. The British Empire's military comprised soldiers from diverse cultural backgrounds. These forces were drawn from various colonies and territories across the globe, serving under the British flag. They represented a vast multinational contingent. These soldiers were deployed to fight on multiple fronts worldwide. Their contributions were integral to British military campaigns and global power projection. India's significant military contribution to global conflicts is a notable historical fact. During various campaigns, India mobilized a substantial number of soldiers. Over 1.3 million Indian soldiers were deployed to different theaters of war. These forces played a crucial role in the strategic outcomes of these conflicts. Their involvement was particularly vital in campaigns conducted across the Middle East. India's military participation underscored its strategic importance on the global stage. Imperial forces played a crucial role in augmenting Allied military strength during global conflicts. These forces provided much-needed reinforcements to various theaters of war. Their deployment significantly bolstered the British Expeditionary Force, BEF. A primary area of their contribution was on the Western Front. Beyond the Western Front, Imperial troops also served in other critical locations. Their presence was vital for sustaining and expanding Allied military operations. Mobilization efforts necessitate extensive logistical coordination. This involves the strategic planning and execution of movement. The primary objective is to transport troops efficiently. Equipment also requires careful and timely relocation. Furthermore, supplies must be moved across vast distances. Such coordination is critical for successful large-scale operations. Colonial territories provided significant contributions to global conflicts. These contributions extended beyond military personnel, encompassing vital resources. Raw materials from colonies were essential for industrial production and war supplies. Foodstuffs from colonial lands were crucial for sustaining troops and home populations. Fighting alongside British forces created a unique shared experience among diverse groups. This shared experience often fostered a sense of collective identity. Participants developed a common understanding and purpose through joint military efforts. This newly forged identity sometimes transcended previous tribal or regional divisions. In many instances, This shared identity became a catalyst for future political movements. It directly fueled the emergence of independence movements in various regions. At the dawn of the 20th century, Britain's global power was immense. This influence was largely sustained by its vast imperial network. The ability to mobilize resources across this empire was critical. Imperial mobilization showcased Britain's capacity for large-scale coordination. It underscored the reach and depth of British control worldwide. This mobilization was a clear demonstration of its global dominance. Imperial troops played a crucial role in Britain's global strategy during periods of conflict. Their deployment allowed Britain to maintain control and influence over its colonial territories. This ensured continued presence and administration in distant regions. This strategy was vital, even while Britain was actively engaged in warfare on the European continent. The Ottoman Empire, a significant historical power, held vast territories across the Middle East. During World War I, the Ottoman Empire formed a crucial alliance with the Central Powers. This alliance positioned the Ottoman Empire as a formidable force in the region. Its extensive control over Middle Eastern lands directly threatened British strategic and economic interests. The Ottoman presence created a significant geopolitical challenge for the British Empire. British strategic objectives in the Middle East were multifaceted and crucial for imperial power. A primary objective was the protection of the Suez Canal, a vital maritime artery. The Suez Canal provided the shortest shipping route to India, the jewel of the British Empire. Maintaining control over this waterway ensured efficient trade and military movement. Another key strategic interest involved securing access to essential oil supplies. These oil reserves were increasingly important for industrial and naval power in the 20th century. The Mesopotamian campaign was a significant military operation during World War I. It involved forces primarily from the British and Indian armies. A key objective was to secure the oil-rich regions of Mesopotamia. This campaign also aimed to protect British strategic interests in the Persian Gulf. Control over these areas was crucial for fuel supply and geopolitical influence. The Gallipoli campaign was a significant military operation during World War I. It was initiated by the Allies, including British and Anzac forces. The primary strategic objective was to open a new front against the Central Powers. A key aim was to neutralize the Ottoman Empire, removing it from the conflict. Despite its strategic goals, the campaign ultimately proved unsuccessful for the Allies. The Sinai and Palestine campaign was a pivotal military operation during World War I. It unfolded in the Middle East, primarily across the Sinai Peninsula and Palestine. The campaign was led by General Edmund Allenby, a British military commander. His forces engaged in a series of battles against the Ottoman Empire. The campaign was marked by decisive victories for the Allied forces under Allenby's command. These successes significantly impacted the geopolitical landscape of the region. British forces operated in the Middle East during a significant historical period. They were supported by Arab irregulars, forming a crucial alliance. These Arab forces were led by the influential figure T.E. Lawrence. Their combined efforts involved both guerrilla warfare tactics and conventional battles. In December 1917, a pivotal event unfolded in the Middle East during World War I. British forces successfully captured the city of Jerusalem. This military action marked a significant moment in the conflict. The capture held immense symbolic importance for the British Empire. It also represented a crucial strategic victory in the region. The defeat of the Ottoman Empire marked a pivotal moment in Middle Eastern history. This event led to the complete dissolution of its vast territories. Consequently, the political landscape of the region underwent a significant transformation. New regional borders were redrawn, reshaping the modern Middle East. Following the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, former territories were placed under mandates. These mandates were established by the League of Nations after World War I. Great Britain and France were assigned control over these regions. This process led to the creation of new political entities and borders. The mandates significantly shaped the modern political map of the Middle East. The Middle East campaigns showcased Britain's strategic military capabilities. These operations extended British influence far beyond its European borders. Britain effectively projected its power across vast geographical distances. This projection was largely enabled by its extensive imperial resources. The campaigns demonstrated the logistical and military strength of the British Empire. They solidified Britain's position as a global power during that era. The Western Front was a major theater of war during World War I, primarily located in Western Europe. It stretched from the North Sea through Belgium and France to the Swiss border. This front was characterized by extensive trench warfare, a defining feature of the conflict. The British Expeditionary Force, BEF, played a significant role as a primary combatant on this front. The Western Front saw some of the largest and most devastating battles in human history. British troops played a significant role in major battles during World War I. These engagements occurred on the Western Front, primarily in France and Belgium. Key battles included the Somme, a prolonged and costly offensive. Another major engagement was Passchendaele, known for its harsh conditions. The Ypres salient also saw extensive fighting and heavy casualties. These battles resulted in immense casualties for the British forces. The Western Front saw the introduction of unprecedented military technologies. Innovations like tanks revolutionized ground combat tactics and mobility. Chemical weapons, such as mustard gas, introduced new forms of warfare and casualties. These advancements profoundly altered the nature and brutality of warfare on the Western Front. During wartime, British industrial capacity underwent a significant transformation. Factories and production lines were repurposed from civilian goods to military manufacturing. This strategic shift focused on producing essential war materials. Vast quantities of munitions, weapons, and military supplies were manufactured. This industrial mobilization was crucial for supporting the war effort. The British home front experienced profound social and economic changes during wartime. These transformations impacted daily life and the national economy significantly. One major change was the implementation of widespread rationing. Rationing ensured equitable distribution of essential goods and resources. Another key shift was the dramatic increase in female employment. Women entered factories and other industries, filling roles previously held by men. Propaganda served as a critical tool during wartime. Its primary function was to shape public opinion and maintain morale. Propaganda campaigns aimed to secure widespread public support for military actions. These efforts were crucial for sustaining the war effort over extended periods. A key objective was to encourage voluntary enlistment in the armed forces. It utilized various media to disseminate messages supporting national objectives. Britain played a crucial role in supporting the Allied cause during the war. Its financial contributions were substantial, providing essential aid to its allies. This support included significant loans to bolster Allied war efforts. Britain also supplied critical resources, strengthening the Allied military and economic fronts. In 1917, the United States officially entered World War I, significantly altering the conflict's dynamics. This entry was partly influenced by Germany's unrestricted submarine warfare. German U-boats targeted Allied shipping, including vessels carrying American citizens and goods. These aggressive naval tactics provoked strong condemnation and anti-German sentiment in the U.S. The U.S. declaration of war provided a substantial boost to the Allied forces. The American intervention brought fresh troops, resources, and industrial capacity to the Allied cause. The Central Powers faced immense pressure during the war. A key factor was the sustained blockade imposed by Allied forces. This blockade severely restricted vital supplies and resources. Continuous fighting on multiple fronts further strained their capabilities. The cumulative effect of these pressures began to take a significant toll. Ultimately, the Central Powers experienced a notable weakening due to these factors. The 100 Days Offensive was a series of Allied military victories in 1918. This offensive marked the final period of World War I on the Western Front. Allied forces launched a coordinated series of attacks against German lines. These sustained assaults successfully pushed back German forces across the front. The offensive significantly contributed to the eventual collapse of the German military. The armistice signed on the 11th of November 1918 marked a pivotal moment in global history. This agreement formally brought an end to the hostilities on the Western Front. It signified the cessation of fighting in the primary theater of World War I. The signing of the armistice effectively concluded the entirety of World War I. This event led to a new era, reshaping international relations and global politics. Britain emerged from the war as a victorious power. Despite victory, the nation faced immense economic costs. The conflict left a legacy of significant social challenges. Reconstruction efforts required substantial resources and planning. The post-war period necessitated widespread societal adjustments. Britain embarked on a path of recovery and transformation. The Treaty of Versailles was signed in 1919, officially ending World War I. It imposed significant territorial, military, and economic reparations on Germany. The treaty aimed to prevent future conflicts and establish a new international order. However, its harsh terms contributed to resentment and instability in Germany. World War I significantly altered Britain's global standing and internal dynamics. The conflict profoundly impacted Britain's position on the international stage. Domestically, the war brought about substantial societal changes within Britain. It also reshaped Britain's complex relationships with its imperial territories. These transformations laid the groundwork for subsequent geopolitical developments. The war's legacy influenced the future trajectory of the British Empire and global power structures.